Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. I'd like to pick up the line of questioning on immigration and the border. And ask you two rather quick follow-up questions about some other topics.
You always like yes or no questions. I don't know if they're yes or no.
Well,
Go ahead.
Answer as you will. But,
okay.
So on immigration and the border, as we've discussed here today, Vice President Harris has been put in charge of addressing the root causes of the border crisis. Last Tuesday, she spoke with Guatemala's president, but she hasn't visited the border or Central America or spoken with leaders of El Salvador or Honduras. She was traveling this week, took time to visit a bakery in Chicago. I'm wondering, is she still working on this? And can you address the perception that she's kind of quietly backing off while Secretary Mayorkas is pursuing some Trump-era policies, such as potentially building new border barriers and potentially prosecuting people who illegally cross multiple times?
There was a whole lot packed in there. So let me just see what I can do here. First, I would say the vice president was visiting Chicago actually to talk about COVID and the importance of communities getting the vaccine when it's available and accessible to them. And so while she was there, like many Americans, she got a snack. I think she's allowed to do that. But she was there to talk about COVID and play a role, as she's playing a significant role on our efforts to address vaccine hesitancy, communicate with the public about how we can do this, and it's imperative to get the vaccine when it's available. Second, I would say that yesterday, and this was actually a statement put out by her team, USAID announced the deployment of a DART team. We only have these in a couple of places in the world, so this is fairly significant, to respond to urgent humanitarian needs in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. This is meant to help address the immediate humanitarian needs, whether it's drought, food insecurity, ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and this is in communities that are still recovering. So that is actually an announcement made by the vice president's team earlier today. This is absolutely an issue that she remains committed to, is in the lead on. The Northern Triangle, which I'm sure you're aware of, but is not the same as the border. They're all related to each other, but addressing being responsible and in the lead on the Northern Triangle is working with these countries in the region, addressing the root causes, working with them on how we can address issues like long-term food insecurity, drought, the COVID-19 pandemic, hurricanes, etc. That's what she's focused on. I don't have an update on when she'll travel. I'm sure it will be soon.
But she's still working on this issue very much.
Well, they wouldn't be putting out a statement this morning if she wasn't, would they?
And my two other questions, I'd like to circle back to something that a colleague asked in this room a few weeks ago. They asked about a request by about 36 Democrats in Congress for President Biden to relinquish unilateral nuclear launch authority. I believe at the time you weren't aware of that request, and I was wondering if you've been able to get an answer from the president on that.
I don't have anything more for you on that.
And my third question, if I could. According to a report yesterday in Axios, we may soon have a prominent transgender gubernatorial candidate. It would be a Republican, Caitlyn Jenner in California, and I'm not asking.
Are you announcing her run?
No, I'm just announcing the
Are you
Axios
working for her?
report. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not, but and I'm not asking you to endorse anyone, but I was wondering if the White House welcomes this apparent LGBT milestone.
We certainly would welcome the freedom of any human participating in the democratic process to run for office, of course, and including, of course, transgender members of our society. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to ask if the